Welcome back to the Australian Ultimate Championships. This is the 2018 edition, and it's been one of the best yet. It's day 3 here as teams are moving right to the end of the tournament. Bracket play happening across the show, and here we have a matchup from the 9 to 12 placing round robin in the men's division. Melbourne's Hot Chili against the visiting Wellington Wildcats from New Zealand. I'm your commentator, Rob Swan. I'm here with my co-host, Natalie Mormer. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a very interesting day that we're going to have. Very windy and starting to get a bit rainy as well. Yeah,
absolutely. The wind persistent as ever, still going left to right on your screen, getting kind of blustery, but accompanied this morning with a smattering of rain and a drop in the temperature. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams coming in the morning, if they're able to shake off the cobwebs and get off to a firing start early. As Wellington have come down playing a zone defense with a lot of players around the disc, and Chile are working their way quite calmly through it, taking their time. Junker to Baker to Junker to Baker. Showing nice patience here. Chile using a lot of their experienced players as disc handlers here. It's good to see. Getting a lot of touches. Lacombe with the disc over the top. It's great control. Chile showing great patience to work through here, and this is an interesting option by the Wildcats off the bat. These teams haven't faced each other yet in the tournament. Hot Chili having gone 0-5 in the first 2 days, and Wildcats going 1-4 with a win over Adelaide's Outbreak. And that's a quick scuba to finish the point. Very nicely done. Great patience by Chile, and just a quick flip into the end zone there as this wind is picking up. It's going left to right, and the rain is really advancing.
Yeah, that was a definitely beautiful way to start the game. Chile's going to be really happy with that, and let's just see if they keep it up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of defenses, particularly Wellington, pull out against Chile. They've shown themselves that was quite adaptable, quite patient, working their way through it. A really nice first confident point. They weren't aggressively attacking and scoring, but then right at the end just flipped it in. So that's the sort of confidence and self-assuredness that you really like to see out of your offense. And so it's going to be interesting to see if Wellington throw them out of the rhythm, throw them out of their rhythm and push them off course. Of course, Chile looking to do the same. Wellington coming out on offense now. Finally got 7 players on the line, so not going to disadvantage themselves for literally no reason. Looked like it might have been a smattering of rain, but there's a grey sky rapidly advancing, and it's going to be interesting to see where this picks up. It's not traditional for the Gold Coast to have the rain, but maybe the New Zealanders will feel very at home here. As Chile come down in a zone look of their own. 3 players around the disc and 3 players patrolling deep. A couple in the middle. Wellington stuck on the sideline there. Shooting long to attack the disc, and that's well taken under pressure and flipped in for a goal. Wellington, seeing the same sort of defense, have taken exactly the opposite approach. Chile took the time and patiently worked it in with a few little ones, and Wellington just waited, surveyed the options, and then broke it open with a really nice outside-in, down-the-line shot. Defender made a good run at it, but really was never in the game with that one. It's good to see differing styles here at the tournament. There's been a lot of different teams come trying to play different ways, and it's one of the most amazing things about national tournaments is that not only are these teams been training for such a long time to be here, and this is the pinnacle of their season usually, often bring a lot of different styles and often different defenses, and it's where champions are born.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting seeing how people react to this rain and this wind. We'll see a lot what we saw yesterday with a lot of these downwind points being really fast, really beautiful, with really tough upwind runs.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There've been no turnovers yet in this game, so it's also been all offense going left to right. Defensive teams yet to get a block, but it's quite early on in the game, and teams looking to feel each other out and see what's going on. As the Wildcats come down in a one-on-one match defense here. Chile looks to shoot, holsters it. Finds Lacombe on the inside there, and that's just through his hands. It's maybe the first case of wet disc syndrome that we've seen so far.
And certainly not the last.
We can only hope. Humphreys to the disc now. Fakes off his first open under. Fakes off the around. Leads his jump up the line. That's a very nice throw there. Wildcats working well to just lead their dumps out. But credit to the defense of Chile. They're right on them in this handler space here as they go around. Sinclair with a disc. Back to Humphreys. Fakes the around. Very aggressive mark from Lacombe. No contact though. So far it's looking well. Goes around. Humphreys chasing that one down. Looked like it might get away from him, but he's reeled it in. Inside and look, goes around. Oh, and that one's just chipped, but it's gathered. Oh, and it's actually come down. That's really great defense from the Chile player there. Wildcats doing a great job of dumping and resetting, but with only 2 players there, eventually a shot has to come, and Chile's pounced on that defensive opportunity, and they've gone back the other way. Doesn't it stay in? Oh. And the gods of the wind have not smiled upon Chile this morning. That one sailed out of the field early and not come back in, so Wildcats will have the disc again, but with only a short field to work.
We see that Wildcats has a really, really great handler movement, and that will definitely be helpful for them in this upwind battle that they're having right now. I would not be surprised if they get this point.
Yeah, they looked really, really confident outside the end zone there. It's a very, very impressive defensive play from Chile to get that back. A lot of pressure on the dump, but he's taken it. This is very difficult work. A lot of offensive load being carried by the 2 handlers here. They finally got it to a 3rd player. Crossfield flick goes up, past the bidding defender, and Wildcats have taken the upwinder. What a way to start the game. That's 2-1 Wellington.
Amazing handler movement between those 2 guys. They just kept on moving with each other and working off of each other really, really well. It'll be tough to really break them up. We'll see if Chile's able to do it.
Yeah, interesting there. So Chile playing some quite tough dump defense. Trying to get a block there. There was a lot of chances at it. Indeed, they got one really, really good one, and then very close to another one in the handler space. But it's interesting to see a lot of teams that rely on 1 or 2 players to generate that sort of movement over and over again. Might not be able to hold that up over the course of the full 100 minutes, and it might collapse later in the game if they're carrying such a high offensive load. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the Wildcats can hold this up. They're a good squad, but they've struggled a little bit this tournament. So with the wind and the rain coming, it's going to make short throws, especially those little leading passes that they were using earlier in that point. It's going to make those hard to execute. They've shown they can do it. Let's see if they can maintain it. Chile going upwind on offense. Yeah, that's a ripper pull coming in. Dropping just to the front of the end zone. Up to Regaki in the center. Wellington coming down in a junk defense, but Chile shooting right over the top. Can't leave the GAC with a field to work with. Kelly with a disc on the sideline here. Looking a bit trapped. Goes back to Regaki. Shoots inside. There's a bit on it. To Bell with a disc. Send us back to Lau. Looking around, looking for holes in this Wellington wall. Regaki with a disc here. Chile swinging nicely. Centers again to Regaki. Back to Regaki. He's anchoring their offense here with his throws. He's definitely one of the most powerful throwers on this Chile team. Very explosive athlete with a lot of length as well. So be interesting to see if they can contain him. They're forcing Chile to dump and reset it going backwards a few yards. Not a lot of movement from Chile beyond the cup. They're really relying on the handlers to get it done here. And this Wellington defense is stifling, only allowing those sideways swings. And Chile barely able to scratch out a few meters. Wellington testing the patience of Chile here. Baiting them into a difficult shot. There's a little bit of space behind the cup, but they've done well there. They've done very, very well. Kelly picks up the goal from Jules. They've gone nice and wide and essentially raced to the Wellington wall across the front of the end zone and taken around that break. As the Wellington wing wasn't able to come under and cover that in time. It's great patient play from Chile. They've gone upwind as well to level the scores 2-2.
Yeah, seeing that these teams both were able to break and get that upwind point has shown that this is going to be a really tough game for both of them. They're both in it, they're both fighting, and we won't know who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, they've shown themselves capable. So we've seen a lot of games really can be decided, can absolutely turn on one upwinder, but this is early in the game and the intensity hasn't raised as high as it can in this game. It's definitely going to ramp up. These teams are playing quite well here, but there's a bit of quiet. You can feel that there's more in the tank for both of them, absolutely. And we'll see that they'll be able to go upwind potentially with even more ease, or if the defensive intensity is going to prevent that. So flick pull blades in, and it's through the legs. Wellington in the back of their end zone. Oh, and that's nearly a turn, but dug it out of the ground, and Wellington facing down this one-on-one match defense here from Chile. Using a lot of switches and poaching in the center. Handler's one-on-one matched as that disc nearly floats out, but well read. And they go behind. Oh, the biddling handler saves this. Wellington under a lot of pressure here. You've got a different handler set. Not the same two players that were getting it done before, but asking the same thing of their players behind the disc. Is it going to be as successful?
Unlucky.
And that disc just dropping down to his knees. That's the wind. It's the 8th defender on the field, and it's often the MVP. So Wellington need to be making a stand here, and that's not what Chile are looking for. That's a cheap turn, and Wellington are going to send it. Look to holster, prove me wrong. They're looking for the shot, though. They've got athletic players streaking deep. They'll take the open under, play the wise move. Up and shots, effective if you can make him stick. Horan with the disc here on this close sideline. And the around shot goes up, the player's there. Oh, and he's read it well in the wind. Drop down, but give him that knee slide, get your body under it, and that's well taken. Wildcats hold on, 3-2, managing to put their offense in after what was very, very nearly a costly break.
Yeah, we definitely saw more turnovers in that point. So we definitely see that there's patience that's kind of being lost, and just that wind and this weather is just definitely taking a toll on this game.
Yeah, and Chile, I think, will be disappointed with that. That short field turn gave them a really good opportunity to strike into the end zone and take the lead in this game nice and early. But just a really cheap turnover on a backwards dump meant that they couldn't make it happen. And Wildcats very effective in punishing going the other way and not really giving Chile any more chances. And Chile didn't look like they had a lot of defensive pressure on Wildcats' second offensive possession at that point. Wildcats to the pool now. Offensive line on again from Chile. Rigaki with the gloves on. Got to get that friction. Rigaki in the center of the field now. Wellington playing sort of poaching defense around the handlers. Chile looking for the shot. Kelly with the disc here. Looks for the under, finds Lau. Lau back to Jules. Great patience there. Baker in the center looking to shoot. He's got Regaki out the back. Jules jinking around in that space. Barely finds some separation late. Juan with a disc. Oh, leads his player, but Kelly doing a lot for this team. Finds Regaki. Elects not to shoot to the end zone there. Goes inside, finds Kelly again. Open for those short shots and puts one into Baker. Kelly really doing a lot for Chile on that point. It was always available in that inside lane.
Yeah, Kelly is just so fast, getting open every single time. It makes it look easy.
Yeah, I think it was really nice to see he knew what his throwers wanted. A lot of these Chile players really like that low inside flicks break. And Kelly just always in the right spot there. Catching up a bit of scraps one time and just the primary target the other time. So that's 3-3. A nice clean offensive hold from Chile going into the win. So looks like the teams are very unaffected by the win thus far. So team's going to need to be playing a lot of defense and not going to get cheap blocks in the wind, it looks like.
Right. We see Wildcats on their jerseys. They say fight, adapt, trust. And they're definitely showing it, but I think they can show it a bit more. Let's see them fight, and they're definitely adapting to this wind.
Yeah, they've gone a couple of different defenses so far. They've shown that big wall zone look against Chile the first time. There's a really good defense to play if it's very, very windy, but Chile unaffected, really. So Wellington using the match other than then. Penland with a big pull there. Wellington with the field to work. He's got a player out the back. Elects not to shoot. It's a very good choice from him. Finds Powell at the line. He'll take the big blade over the top. Well read by Horan. And they'll call that one a goal. That is a very ambitious shot from Wildcats. But it's dropped in well. Got to do what you've got to do going into the wind and putting up a big one like that. Not worried if it turns over and drops in. Great shot selection. Gave it just enough air under it so that it curved well over to the left. It was dying early, but it was well into the air, so it carried just long enough. Perfectly read by his receiver, right in the breadbasket. And that's 4-3 Wildcats. And timeout's been called. Looks like they'll be assessing. Wildcats have taken it. And this is quite a good timeout from the Wildcats. I really like it. They're in a good position here. They'll be playing defense on this next point. Chile going into the wind. And this is where they change something. This is where they throw a wild defense at them. And Chile's got to put Chile on the back foot. Force Chile to be the one to adapt.
Yeah, we'll definitely see some changes being made from the Chile defense. We'll see what they bring out. We'll see if they can start stepping up a bit.
Yeah, the Wildcats have looked a little bit troubled, but only with that one-on-one match. That sort of zone defense they were playing before didn't really seem to trouble the Wildcats. They had the right mix of throwers coming from behind the cup to get short passes and open receivers very, very deep. We'll come out of this timeout here with a bunch of new ideas, a bunch of renewed vigor. Chile putting a lot of strong throwers on this line. Regaki and Baker doing a lot of the core work for here, but a lot of elite throws across the line for this Chile squad, and that's what they're going to need going into the win. That's what's held them up so far, their ability to swing it consistently and very well. This pull comes up, drops in right at the back of the end zone. Up to Jules here. Regaki isolated in the lane. Wellington gone for a one-on-one match defense. Regaki taking the diving bid on the inside break. Looking to shoot. He's got Lau extremely deep. Jules with a disc here. Looks to Kelly on the inside, who's open yet again in that same space. He loves it, and the throwers love it. with a throw, just making life hard, throwing the disc into the ground. Wildcats with a beautiful around swing, and
there's a call.
Looks like there's a pick called, and Rugaki saying that he was impeded to play defense by where someone was going, and he'll catch up to where he would have been had the pick not occurred, which is apparently right where the disc is. Humphreys marshalling this offense here, taking that grab when it has to happen. Not worried about a bit of dirt on the disc. Shoots inside. Wildcats moving confidently here, still playing out of a very rough vertical stack. Oh, and this massive hammer goes up. And that was a very ill-advised shot. There's a massive hammer, a lot of hang time. Just enough to give all of the defensive players in the area time to get around, get in that area. I don't think that's the patient offense that the Wildcats are looking for.
I was holding here with my hips orientated ready to fall back, and I just got taken up entirely and had no way of moving backwards whatsoever to make that play.
Yeah, I felt like I was holding position, but...
From my perspective, he didn't get a chance to jump because of the contact beforehand. So.
Do you think he would have had a chance to catch it?
From my perspective, probably.
I thought he had no chance. I don't know what happened in the... I think it was a speculative catch.
Yeah.
So I think you guys should keep the disc.
Cool.
But I don't think you should.
Contestants in the back?
Yeah.
Happy with that. Great chat.
Yeah.
It's going back.
So it is going back. The contact occurring, the Chile player bumping the Wildcats receiver, and that contact causing him to be unable to make a second bid at the disc. And the Chile player saying that he didn't think the Wildcats player would have been able to get the disc anyway, and so the Wildcats player will contest the foul call. Chile player will contest the foul call, sorry. As Titus Smith comes around, Rugaki shoots immediately, Kelly on the end. They're really asking a lot of him here. He's doing a lot of the right things. He's quite open, but just getting overthrown a little bit here. So I hope to see him keep up this work rate across the rest of the game and keep getting open here. Wildcats looking at this vertical stack. Player out the back. Chile player peels off to play defense, and in turn leaves his man open, but thinking about that next throw already, doesn't close his hands around it. That's a real gift for Chile. Rugaki finds Lau on the under. Chile working around this far sideline. Go around to Rugaki. Jules with a disc. Shoots inside. And Gutierrez with the goal. Chile with a real gift there. Shooting it very, very long. And the Wildcats just giving it back cheaply. Not extending their lead here. And Chile levels it up 4-4.
Yeah, I think that timeout definitely helped Chile. They're definitely gaining traction, and they seem to be really stepping it up.
Yeah, their small field offense looks a lot better. Yeah, just really not what the Wildcats are looking to do. That was just a simple drop disc. It was a really, really great cut. Responding to the poach, you could see that as the Wildcats player was streaking deep for that option initially, the Chile player comes off the back of the stack, leaves his player to go and double cover that deep shot and make it a very, very low percentage, which is a great option. But then that leaves the Wildcats player to come free on that under, which he did. It was a great use of abusing the poach, but then he didn't catch the frisbee. So it's been all holds in this middle section of the first half. Still at a tight 4-4 line. Both teams getting a bit scrappy, often shooting and having to get the disc back, but they are holding their offensive points with some difficulty. As Pinal with it resets the disc. Wildcats not gaining a lot of yardage here. They've got a lot of players behind the disc. Jinking around. Leads his player up the line, and that's well cut out. He's seen that disc coming nice and early and prevented the Wildcats from even having a bit of it. Chile moving well. DeBell with a disc on the front of the end zone. Great fake out. Gutierrez with a disc. And then he's flipped that one in. That's great work. Chile take their first break of the game and the lead, 5-4.
Yeah, now it's cleared up. The wind is not that bad, which is looking pretty good for Gold Coast this weekend. And it definitely shows in the ultimate that's being played.
Yeah, much more clinical. Going back to traditionally a bit more of a offensive holds and breaks rather than upwind, downwind. It's really, really good to see. This is the kind of elite level ultimate, so when it's very, very blustery and windy, it's very difficult to play clean, and often the wind can become a much more important factor than whether or not you start with the frisbee. But we're returning to a more traditional analysis of the game.
And now it's time to see Wildcats adapt, change their ways, because Chile has clearly have changed their ideas for what they want to do in this game. And now it's time for Wildcats to respond.
Yeah, Wildcats still playing that same handle movement with 3 players behind the disc, but not having much luck with it in that previous point. So putting out a lot of the same players on this line here. Let's see if they can make something happen against Chile playing a junk defense here. Comfortably going over the top though. Wildcats working well. And transition calls coming from the sideline here. Chile going back to a one-on-one defense. Wildcats with a disc. Stuck on the sideline here. Got to have patience. Goes around to Padma. Looks inside, but Horan just looked away from the disc. And then when he looked back, it was right at his hip, just half a meter behind him. And now Chile looking to extend their lead, advancing calmly into the wind, and Wildcats got to play D here. Rigaki with a disc, shoots long early. Doesn't just have the right sit on it. Maybe 5% more height, and that curls towards the camera and then drops right on his player, but it was not to be today. Wildcats going downwind here. Not a lot of options. Whew. Straight allow. Back to Penman. Rugaki with the disc. Marshalling this Chile offense outside the end zone here. Back to Rugaki. Shoots up the line, leads his player just out the front of the end zone here. And then he crams that one in. Lau with a foot speed to get open on the cone. And that's our biggest lead of the game, 6-4, Hot Chili, as there's a goal.
And it's a goal.
Yeah, it looks like there might have been a talk about a pick or something in this tackle, whether or not that occurred, but on the replay, we can see Lau just put on the Jets. Took a quick ceiling step, got in front of his defender. 2 or 3 steps exploding out to that cone. And Chile exploding out to a 6-4 lead. Timeout's been called. So the Wildcats not adjusting very well there. The Chile coming out playing a brand new defense, getting really in front of their players. And the Wildcats really stifled with their handler movement. Not a huge fan of their systems. They're doing a lot of work with just a couple of players in a small space and just demanding the disc there. It can be very powerful if you've got players that are able to consistently get open and you get the disc into your strongest throwers' hands over and over. But it also puts a lot of load on them, and if they're not able to get open, then suddenly it's very high in the stall count and you're forced into a very difficult throw and eaten up by the defense. haven't seen much more of them. Their offense has looked significantly more stagnant since that first confident point. So potentially they've pulled out of what they're looking to do. They've sort of gone into their shell a little bit, and the results have shown themselves on the scoreboard here. So hopefully, coming out of this timeout, we'll see the Wildcats grip it and rip it. Still a lot of gameplay to go. Obviously, this is a 100-minute game. We've got well more than an hour here. So at this scoring clip, these teams will reach the points cap of 15 well before that. And so Chile in the driver's seat right now with a 2-point lead. They're putting the clock on. Wildcats have a bit of time now to mount a defense and respond. But the first step has got to be cleaning up their offense. They've got to be able to generate something going into the wind here. And Chile with a punishing pull. Wildcats at the back of their end zone. No options on these unders. And then again being forced to work in a tiny space and then just straight to the ground there. And then Chile for the immediate punish. That's exactly what Chile were looking for. That was an incredible pull, gave Wildcats no room to work with. And then again, one strong undercut, potentially an option there, looked off by the Wildcats. And then all they had was those two blokes with the disc.
Right, Chile just completely just punished them immediately. Just a quick pass to the end zone and it was over. Incredible. Wildcats really should be looking to be putting it.
Absolutely.
Hucks for days.
Absolutely. They've got the athleticism to make it work, and they've got strong enough throwers, particularly going on this left or right direction. But they're now in a 3-point deficit.
And we can definitely see that Chile is now wide awake, ready to play.
Absolutely. They're getting excited about this one, and why wouldn't you be? They're playing really, really good defense. These turnovers from the Wildcats have been forced by this Chile defense. They look like they're execution errors, that one going straight to the ground there, but that's the result of shooting into a very, very small window. You can see the Chile defender closing out that inside shot. And the Wildcats really only having one offensive option at a time, and that makes it really, really easy for the Chile defense to clamp down. As pull goes up, and that's a brick. Wildcats have a favorable position to start with a disc, but wherever they are on the field, it's been really, really dependent on whether or not their handlers are able to get open, get themselves into a power position to be able to then advance the disc. Their cutters have been doing a great job, but if their handlers can't work on a small space to get open, then they're not going to get the disc, and that is a casual throwaway. The cup way too close there. Just wanted to float that disc out in front, and Chile with a chance here. Wildcats got to play some one-on-one. They've got to make it happen. Gutierrez with the disc. Juan goes around. Chile advancing. Just calm and patience. Going back around, and that's a great grab. Juan with a disc still. Gutierrez on that sideline. Chile taking the passes they can get. Not rushing anything here. Juan's on the far sideline. He's doing a lot for this team here. Knocking on the door. Looking patient here. Chile looking to jink and dump and do what they can. And they break it open with a big swing and a great grab. They're about a meter out now. Patience being shown, but the stall count getting high. Oh. And it looks like there's a stall called on the mark there. You can see that was a bit of a desperation float there.
I'm uncertain, sorry guys.
Uncertain?
Yeah.
Up to you. I thought I got it off on 9 minutes. Okay. But anyone else hear that?
I think.
It sounded like you fast counted mine and hit.
Okay, we'll keep it there then.
I think you got to the 10, got the 10 to spit up.
Okay.
Right. So there'll be a fast count called. Maybe they went too fast, so the disc will stay with the receiver in the end.
And there's a violation. Chile just really wants that point.
Yeah, very, very keen, and why wouldn't you be? They're looking to take half here off a strong series of breaks here, and the Wildcats just unable to stop their flow. They're putting a lot of pressure on, and they're marking their downfield defenders really tightly, but Chile are able to work those backwards resets much more effectively than the Wildcats have been. Gutierrez looks around, and there's Baker in the front of the end zone. That's 8-4 Chile. They've screamed out to this lead. This feels like just 2 minutes ago it was 4-4.
And with that, Chile takes half.
Absolutely. Incredibly dominant performance by Chile in the second quarter of this game. Taking those backwards resets and then hitting those bigger rounds when the option presented itself, and Wildcats with a couple of cheap turnovers, but really their system's letting them down, not able to generate any open options in front of the disc. We'll leave you with a quick break for this halftime, and then we'll come back, see if the Wildcats can mount a comeback.
TV.
Isabella, don't you cry. Don't you ever think you wasted my time. For the rest of my days, I'll keep you in mind. Life's a ladder, and we both gotta climb. Fed
He's in a great spot. He's in a perfect spot. Yes, his massive head has blocked everything. That was a huge play, but we have seen none of it. Finney, he's done it.
Welcome back to the second half here of this men's division matchup here at the Australian Ultimate Championships. The Wildcats are down 4-8 to Hot Chili. Just a few minutes ago, it was a 4-4 tied game, but then Chile have really clamped down on what is the nucleus of the Wildcats' offensive scheme. Wildcats playing through a couple of key players, doing a lot of work all around the disc, looking to get one or two passes to get themselves into power position and then look for an upfield shot to one of their cutters. So Chile doing a great job of clamping down defensively there, making it very difficult for the Wildcats to advance it out of their handler set and up to their cutters.
Yeah, Chile is definitely focused on using those big throws that they have and using it to their advantage, while Wildcats is, for the most part, holstering theirs.
Yeah, indeed. Chile are hucking much more aggressively and with a lot more success, as they've bricked this pool here. So I want to see the Wildcats come out with some offensive adjustments. Chile feeling confident, feeling amped. Sure they'll be coming out with the same defensive intensity that's enabled them to get ahead in this game and really close out strong. So the Wildcats need to be doing something differently if they want to be pulling away in this game. Coming out in a horizontal stack, which is quite nice. It's a different look than they had previously. There's a pushy. That's all right. They're still not shooting, and they're taking a lot of time with the disc and shooting a hammer into traffic, and that's blocked. Too much waiting with the disc, not taking the open locks, and now Rugaki has the disc, finds Jules, and Chile advancing the other way. Sees Baker. Baker looks long. So Rugaki and two defenders is floating well. Chile defenders going early at that and having a diving bit at the dying scraps, but looks like everyone thought it was coming down flat, and then at the last minute bladed behind them. Wildcats again in this horizontal stack and generating some open looks, but not catching the frisbee. Chile with a chance to punish with a short field. Rugaki with the disc. Shoots. And that one's a bit rushed. Didn't really have his feet set. And it's dropping into the ground there. So Wildcats pretty good. Occasionally one of the disc will move to one of their players and they'll stand around and look at a bunch of different options and not take an easy under or the first open shot. Really stagnates their flow.
And there we go.
Padman shoots long, and look at that, completely open receiver. Horan streaking into the end zone here. Wildcats doing a great job. Mark coming off, and the around break for the goal. It's great work from Wildcats. They've adjusted a little bit there. They played that horizontal stack. It didn't have the success they were looking for. Switched to a vertical, immediately look long. That's an amazing grab. Well read. Throw right in his bread basket there. And then no one on the mark here. Able to throw that nice around. All the time in the world there. Chile players doing the technically correct move of taking the players in the end zone first rather than setting a mark. But by the time the third or so defender was coming.
Yeah, we now see Wildcats moving the disc a lot better. They're doing actually what Chile was doing, which is hucking, which is nice to see.
Yeah, they changed it up. They've shown a couple of different offensive looks there. I like the Horo, opened up a lot of space, pulled their handler set a lot wider. Then those lanes were a lot more viable to shoot into, and then the cutters really engaged from the start rather than relying on the handlers themselves to generate a bunch of movement. Much more connected offense. And then after Ragaki gave them this back, picked it up and threw it all the way down the field. Nice to see Wildcats doing something differently, and it's earned them a point. Got them back within striking distance and an opportunity for a break here. Chile come out in a side stack with 2 in the lane, and they shoot long and shoot early. They got players out the back, and that is a money put. It's gone well up into the air, sat exactly when it is needed to, and his man has ran that one down with not a care in the world. So Chile stabilizing well, 9-5. Wildcats unable to put any effective defensive pressure there. Missing the opportunity for a switch. We can see Horan off the Wildcats, who's looking off the back there, had an eye off the disc, but didn't commit to covering his player. Thought that his poaching alone would discourage the shot, but Chile have shown an incredible willingness to huck. So the Wildcats need to be putting a lot more defensive pressure on that. Force Chile to do something else.
Right, we haven't seen Wildcats put too hard of pressure on defense. They're really more of an offense-focused team. Let's see if they can maybe change that and really stop Chile from all of those deep shots.
Wildcats going downwind here. Pool fielded well, Panmu in the center here. Panmu, one of the players that made the final with the Wellington Wildcats at these same fields last year in the Australian Ultimate Championships. That final, a universe point win for Sydney's Colony, so a very incredible performance by the Wildcats. Spicy shot, blading well in the wind, and they've got the disc out the front of the end zone now. They're resetting well, not a lot of movement, and they've flipped that one in. Wildcats cutter able to get his shoulders in front of Josh DeBell and just sealing that one out. It's much better from the Wildcats. They're taking those aggressive shots that we talked about it, and the score is now a very nice 6-9, Chile still in the lead.
Yeah, it did start to look like a bit of a runaway for Chile, but Wildcats are really stepping up their game. They're making those changes, they are adapting, and that's really nice to see.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Their offense is looking a lot better. They've adapted. They're getting a lot of downwind action now, which I think is helping them. But they'll take what they can get, and now they've got a chance to get a break. So the pressure is really on the Wildcats here. They've got a whole half of Frisbee, but Chile are scoring comfortably and quickly, and with every one of those, they inch closer to that points cap of 15. And the time available for Wildcats to get a break back is shrinking. Very nice upwind pull, is sailing well past the brick mark, fielded by Gutierrez to Pentland. Pentland doing well in the center here, finding Kelly behind the disc now, not just cutting. Takes back and it's bobbled by Pentland, but he'll reel that one in. And Wildcats playing 3 around the cup and 2 inks just behind it. It's a designed to force a lot of lateral passes, and that one's popped out of the hands of Baker, and Wildcats with a very rare opportunity here, but a lot of their players still behind the disc, not advancing enough, and they're back to their old tricks here. Forcing, you can see that there's about 3 handlers behind the disc, not taking those shots when those cutters get open. It's all of the onus is on the handlers to generate space here, and that's just gonna be hard. Oh, and that's a shot over the top, and that one's a much better looking hammer. Wildcats get the break they were looking for, and that's 9-7. They've really started to close the gap here. I was a bit worried when I saw that offense. You can see that there's 3 handlers very close to the disc and a huge gulf, maybe 15, 20 meters before the first cutter. That's such a very, very deep stack. Gives a lot of room for the handlers to move, but puts a lot of pressure on them. And that's a nice hammer to ice the point. 9-7, Chile still with the lead.
Yeah, now it's time to see Chile kind of have a hard defense, see if they can really focus on stopping those that handler movement. But who knows, maybe they can get this up 1 point.
Yeah, so Chile with a chance to go upwind offensively here, and Wildcats looking for another break in the road. Wind's getting especially gusty now, but as we've seen throughout this game, both of these teams largely unaffected. And of the two, Chile looking more competent here, putting out a strong upwind line again. They don't want to let the Wildcats back into this game. They don't want to get Wildcats on a run of defensive points. So it's time to make a statement about their confidence in their offense here. This pull is fielded by Jules. To Juan Gutierrez. Back to Jules. Back to Gutierrez. Chile playing their own handler set. And then missing Baker at the front of stack there with an early inside shot. The Wildcats off to the races here. On that far sideline, they need to move the disc here. They can't get stagnant. Can't be waving your hands looking for cutters. You've got to take your first option. And they're forced into a late hammer. Horan able to pull that one in. A lot of small movement here. 77 with a disc for the Wildcats. Unable to make anything happen. A lot of jinky stuff going on. Wildcats need some strong and long cutters here. That's a beautiful around break. Neal with a disc shoots long and wide. It's sailing. And just out that far side. So the Wildcats give up an opportunity there. Not a lot of quick disc movement, occasionally just getting stuck with the handlers, and then the dumps coming in close, trying to reset that disc, but crowding the space there. Chile with a lot to do, bringing it on this weak cone as they center it to Jules. That's a good start. Gack in the inside lane, comes open side. Be looking to shoot up here, get some yards early. Goes around, Baker with a disc. Baker looking inside, that's dropping, but well collected. Back to Rigaki. Rigaki advances up the field. Chunka with the disc. Chunka finds Jules. Jules looking towards the end zone, doesn't have much to look. Finds Kelly yet again with another inside, and Junker. Wellington not providing any defensive resistance to speak of. Chile just having their way with him here, and that's a pick called and a throwaway. And they'll have a chat about when the pick occurred and whether that affected the play. So looks like it occurred well before the throw, and therefore it's a stoppage. Sanders on the mark here for Wildcats. Chunker with the disc. The round shot comes up. Rugaki looks for the continuation on the inside. Chile working very effective with their break throws here, and the late inside comes on a cutback from Junker. And that's the statement we were looking for out of Chile. They've extended their lead out to 10-7.
Yeah, they've definitely started to rein it in a bit. They were definitely working it up the field there, and they were doing what needed to be done. They were getting all of those undershots in, and it worked.
Yeah, Chile making great use of the break throws, looking to use the inside a lot to attack their cutters and advance the disc up the field, and then really effectively going around to hit those resets. So making it difficult for the Wildcats. They've got to choose one or the other to take away, but Wildcats fallen into the same rut that they were in previously. They got a block and they had an opportunity just out the front of the end zone, but going back to that same look as they had before where it's all handler movement, just putting such an incredible offensive load on just a few players and spending huge amounts of the stall count just jinking around, trying to get open there.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference with Wildcats are holding on to the disc a lot longer than the Chile players.
Absolutely, and it's a well-drilled and well-trusted Chile squad that's taken their second option and they're doing well, and they'll be excited to see that late in the tournament here. They're hoping to improve. They're aiming to go to WUC, the World Ultimate Club Championships in Ohio later this year. As the Wildcats yet again can't get open in a small space and are absolutely saved by Smith out the back there. And they're in again their same tricks. They're looking for these dumps, and Panmu with a shot, but that one blading in. His defender already very, very deep, not able to go into the wind. Chile didn't go downwind here, stretch their lead out to 4 points. Wildcats putting on a one-on-one match defense here, but really not able to come close to getting a block. So Chile moving this disc, taking the second option, able to survive through a couple of bobbles. Beautiful inside shot from DeBell. In the center there, shot goes up. DeBell is underneath it. It's got to be long, but he is running well. That's a great take from DeBell. A beautiful inside-out backhand there. Sits well in front of DeBell. Chile are amped about that one. That's an 11-7 lead. Chile will be happy with that one, and the Wildcats, they look really good out of half. They had a couple of strong offensive holds, you know, taking big shots, looking for their downfield options very early in the count, but just falling back in old habits here.
Right, we definitely see that Wildcats defense is not able to contain this Chile offense. They just are doing so well, not only with working up the field, but putting those long puts in.
Exactly. The Chile offense has shown themselves to be adaptable. They've provided a whole bunch of different options. So they've been effectively using the inside breaks, the around breaks, shooting long when it's needed. And that's forcing the Wildcats to have to make some very tough decisions. They can't guard everything. You can only take away what they can. But they've got to pick something. For my mind, it would be those inside breaks. The round resets are a little bit punishing, but as long as you can prevent the continuation, they're not so bad. But those inside breaks are just slicing the way up the field, and the disc holds its edge very well going into the wind. But really what I want to see out of the Wildcats is more of what we saw of the first two offensive points of this half, is some long shooting and really engaging their cutters early.
Right.
Taking their open options and not relying on a couple of players to get it done. Humphries has a disc now. He's one of those handlers who's been doing a lot for this Wildcats offense, and it's really good to see, but player of his caliber. But it's not enough, and we see Wildcats, 5 players flat with the disc here. One downfield option, and that's a blown defensive assignment from Chile. And the Wildcats will pick up the goal there. So nice work from Wildcats to take what they're given and really punish that one, but really, that's on Chile for opening up a hole there. Wildcats doing the same sort of stuff, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And Chile defense good enough to maintain their 3-point lead as the Wildcats bring it to 11-8.
Yeah, I definitely can tell that Chile is willing to put it. They have multiple players that are willing to put it. Wildcats, they're really focusing on having those handlers get that disc and put it sometimes, but not nearly as often as Chile.
Yeah, they're really not stretching the field, and what that means, if you're not shooting long in a game, the opponent doesn't have to respect that long shot because it's not coming, and then that means they can sit very far under, really, really prioritize that under space. Make it very, very, very hard to get under. Of course, great solution to that is just boosting it, as Chile have been doing. The Wildcats not taking their option so far. As Chile go past the initial 3 flat defense of the Wildcats and off to the races. Knocking on the door here, and that is just too much pace for the man.
Yeah, you definitely saw there, Chile was not holding onto the disc for longer than a second, and it was working really well. Just annihilated that defense from Wildcats.
Absolutely, and there, Sanders with the disc, sitting on it for a long time and now demanding it back up the line. Unable to make the catch.
And there's a call.
Yeah, it looks like he'll say that the defensive effort from Kelly caused a bit of contact, and that caused him to be unable to catch the disc. Looks like Kelly was coming on the inside, closer to the disc. Looked like he went past his player, but that'll be uncontested. Looks like Sanders claiming that left hand coming in, hitting me on the right shoulder, prevented his ability to catch. So Kelly with the uncontest. Sanders will have the disc. Take that nice around. Nice movement from the Wildcats here. That's what we want to see. They've gotten stationary, but they need to bring it off that sideline. They need to move that disc. Done well here. And there's a pick call. Wildcats showing flashes of a great offense here. Some of their players showing really, really nice fundamentals. Get that swing and then continue the break side. Humphries has the disc now. Doesn't take the open under, engages his dump. And asks for it back again on the break side. The Wellington handlers standing in the space there, demanding the disc. You can see those outstretched arms saying, I'm open, give me the frisbee. But by standing in that lane there, they're preventing a bunch of other shots. Sanders collects the disc right on the sideline here. Wildcats working in the break space, but there's not a lot of room. Humphries jinking around. There's an important opportunity here, and they've centered well. Throw is not attacking the mark, but Horan able to get open on the open side there, make for an easy throw. But Wildcats players just coming all the way around the disc, and it's so crowded. Finally resetting, but looking off these open options. Sanders gets it at the front. He's got to have a lot of patience here, just a couple of meters, but there's defenders everywhere. Wildcats player standing in the dump space saying I'm open, but without moving at all, and forcing Sanders to throw that late hammer over the top, and there's a stall called. So Wildcats players standing around the disc, demanding it there, not getting the action that they're looking for. It's inefficient play, and it's making it very, very easy for Kelly on the mark for Chile to come all the way around and close out that dump, and Jules, who is otherwise guarding it up, just to stand there and prevent any upfield throws. So Wildcats almost putting themselves into a position where they're facing down a double team, and that's a contested stall. Sanders puts a wobbly flick into the ground, and Rigaki responds with a shot. He's got a receiver, and that's a great bid at it, but the shot unable to hold its edge in the wind, staying flat. I think Rigaki was hoping for that outside in, so it would curl back in towards his receiver. Maybe just 2 or 3% more there, and it could have been a real beauty. Wildcats with a chance now. We can see that dump setting up incredibly close to Humphries with a disc here. Activating up the line and taking a field cut that's very nice, and they're swinging wide. Horan with a disc. That's a good starting movement there. But Humphries moving in that dump space, and he's right behind his thrower. There's no space. And he's not even shooting when he gets that little power position. Goes wide and around. Finds his other handler, who looks to that big around shot that goes straight out the sideline there. So Wildcats not engaging their depth here.
And an injury seems to be called.
Yep, and that'll be an injury called, and substitution will be made for Chile as well. Rugaki will come pick up the disc here, and Wildcats putting on a one-on-one match defense. They're going to need to be putting on a lot of pressure, much more so than they've shown already. Bratton on the mark here. Jules looking long. Rugaki with a great turnaround grab. Doesn't even need to be looking at the frisbee. Chile stretch it out 12-8. They're within striking distance of the game here, and Wildcats just playing that same offense, doing that same thing. So looking very good, moving the disc wide when they're able to get it out of a small handler space, hit those large continuations, working in space there. They've got the athleticism, they've got the skills to do that happen, but this handler movement from the Wildcats is not a never-ending fountain. Definitely can be exhausted, and day 3, they're running through those same players in that same position. If they've been doing it all tournament, it's not going to hold up over a full 100 minutes, over a full 4 days.
Yeah, we definitely see some disconnect between the handlers and cutters from Wildcats, with the handlers not getting what they need and the cutters not getting exactly what they want. So hopefully we can see if they can get better connections, maybe talk to each other about what they can do and what they're willing to do.
There's a couple of little simple fixes. If you pull the dumps quite wide and engage them later in the count, pull the stack shorter, make it easier for the cutters to get open, make the throw a little less challenging for the handlers. Just some small adjustments might make this easier. Let's see if Palmer, the Wildcats coach on the sideline there, has got anything special in his clipboard, but they give it away cheaply here, and looks like we're looking at a late game collapse on the Wildcats here. They haven't scored since it was 8-11. And Chile with another easy goal there. Attacking those inside breaks again. That's 13-8. That's far too many in a row.
Definitely seeing some Wildcats faces falling, losing confidence. But they still have a chance to win. Game isn't over until it's over.
Absolutely. But the Wildcats have shown that they're not changing their offense. They did it just out of halftime, and it looked really good. I thought they were going to come in and have a massive streak and really like challenge Chile and pull back that lead, but they haven't changed it up.
Yeah,
Gone back to their old ways. They haven't recognized what was working for them and sticking with what they've been doing, and the results show. Chile having all the action here late in the game, streaking out to a 13-8 lead on their way to their first win of the tournament.
Right. Wildcats are just comfortable using their handlers, using those inside throws, not really putting up those 50-50 shots, and it's definitely hurting them.
Yeah, I think comfortable is absolutely the right word for it there. They look like they've almost accepted their fate, and if this is the only way, this is the way it has to be. As we see again, only a handler movement off the start there. Cutter's getting involved now, which is good, but the handlers are right in front of the disc and clogging that space. You can see they'll often take a 10-meter strike up the line and then turn and come back immediately. They need to be clearing much deeper than that, all the way into the stack. And we're getting some cutter movement out of the Wildcats here. That's very, very nice. Cheeky reset over the shoulder of the defender. And this is great swinging here. Chile switching well on those cuts there. Wildcats not taking that open option, forcing that hard inside. It's got to be a tough throw, tough grab. And Chile right out the front here. Pentland will pick up the disc and be within striking range. And Chile fully stacked in the end zone. Look like they're going to try and make it happen in just 1 or 2 passes. Junker with the disc, threatening that break side. lefty flick, flat as you like. Hot Chili 14-8. 6 game points.
Incredible. Chile's defense is just amazing. They're getting better and better. It's getting more and more frustrating for the Wildcats offense.
Yeah, I think the Wildcats are absolutely getting frustrated, and one of the things that can happen with dynamic handlers who like to have the disc a lot when you get frustrated is you try and do everything. You amp up what you're doing, you try and make all the cuts, get all the disc and make it happen because you want your team to succeed and you're working with it, but you can absolutely end up doing too much in that scenario. If you're constantly around the disc, constantly crowding that space, you're making yourself the only option available to the thrower, and if they can't make that shot, then they're really up the creek with no paddle. So Wildcats hoping to go on a run here. If they can get 2 or 3 in a row, then they might maybe rattle Chile. 6 game points though, it's an incredibly large deficit for the Wildcats to overcome. DeBell with a pull here. This one's dropping down around the brick mark. Sanders will pick up the disc and move it quickly, which is nice.
Against the Chile zone.
Humphries with the disc. They're looking to advance it here, and still all handlers, but getting a lot of space around the disc here. But it's not going to last them. Now's the time to be taking those shots. It's got to happen here. He's looking too much backwards. He's got players open deep. That's a nice swing, but Sanders not with the footwork, only with punching the disc. Chile with a chance to ice the game here. Resetting well, taking those up lines. Lau with a disc. Lau representing Australia at the Under-24 Ultimate Championships in Perth earlier this year. Bringing some good youth. And DeBell, also at that tournament, doing well in the green and gold. Oh, great reset, DeBell to Lau. And Lau calling that one down on himself. It's great spirit there, and Wildcats with another opportunity, but all they're looking at is short here. It's good to get their cutters engaged. McDonald with a disc back to Humphries and clearing through the lane, but the shot comes, and that's nice. Oh, and 2 players right there staring at each other. Oh, it's my disc, your disc, my disc, your disc, and it's the grounds disc.
Right, it really looks like Wildcats needs to be focusing on communicating with each other. Definitely something that could help them for this game. Chile with the big throw. Wow, completely open.
That's amazing work there, and he's taking his time. He's got no mark, so it's great work, great patience from the young player. Chile jigging around in this small space here. And that's a timeout called. Lacombe unimpressed with the work of Jules in that dump space there, and that's coming in on 7. So, staring at a lack of options, seeing his dump jump around and not get open there. Not wanting to waste this opportunity. He's called a timeout. He'll get his team to reset, and they'll look to score in 1 or 2 passes.
Right, after each timeout that's been called, Chile has come with better and better offense. So I'm not going to be surprised if they just quickly put this one in.
Yeah, the Chile defense is a pretty standard zone. Bunch of players around the cup, some wings in it deep. Nothing very difficult to speak of, but their match defense is founded on intensity, and they're playing very, very hard, and they're working very, very aggressively, and that's getting them good results. Really like that one a lot. It's their offense, however, that's required the gentle touch. So to work out where the holes are in this Wellington defense and where they can get some easy meters. So the offense will come from Chile, will come out and set themselves in position, and then the defense on the Wildcats will come and set wherever they like around them. So be interesting to see if the Wildcats come out in just a 1-on-1 match here, or they opt for a sneaky zone or a different defensive look altogether.
And it looks like it's going to be a standard vert stack for Chile.
All right, Lacombe with a disc here. Chile within striking distance. Wildcats playing a bracket on the front of the stack. They've got somebody covering the open side and covering that break inside lane. It's a bit more effective. Oh, and that's an incredible block. He's done it when his team needed him to. He's come through with a screamer on the end zone line. Humphries with a disc here. Wildcats going the other way. Shot doesn't come, but it's a nice leading pass. On that one, over there to Sanders, but nice calmness to collect it on the second effort. He's looking for that hammer again. It's not very well read by his receiver, but it's a real speculative shot, and Sanders has been loving those.
Crossfield hammers.
Yeah, it's real tough here. In the wind, going downwind, sails wide, and getting some quick stats from his teammates telling me he's 0 for 4. So we'll see how the Wildcats adjust as Chile do what they do and they shoot nice and long, and that's an incredible grab. He's gone up early, he's gone up strong, but he's popped it up there. Oh, the Wildcats have eaten that one up. Maybe a bit of a rush of blood to the head there. A young athlete from Chile unable to complete the pass after taking a great grab in front of a pack.
Shoots deep.
Wildcats returning fire, 3-on-1. Oh, it goes up strong and early, but just bonks it. That's a heartbreaker. It's Chile attacking the other way, not letting the Wildcats get set. DeBell looks long. He's got Curley on the end. He tries to hop that one in, and
that's a goal.
Wildcats yielding that as a goal. And that's the game. Hot Chili finishing emphatically. What a cracker of a final point. Shots going up left, right, and center. Chile coming away with it. And Wildcats be disappointed with that finish there. Screamer of a block on the end zone line and a perfect chance to get another point there. But just was not to be. Chile responding in kind, icing the game. That's 15-8 Chile, their first win of the tournament. Great game to start us out here. Day 3 of the Australian Ultimate Championship. Stick with us for the rest of today. Bracket play coming out. We've got quarterfinals and semi-finals coming later today. And then the finals will be up tomorrow afternoon. I've been your commentator, Rob Swan, here with my co-host, Natalie Morma. Thank you very much for having us. We'll catch you on another stream.
Alti.tv